Peace and light. Habargani, my students. All right. So today was your day working on those assignments. I'm sure you did really well. If you need any clarity, let me just repeat some major things. All right. Number one, please make sure you put your first and last name, date, and period on the top right-hand corner of every single assignment. I need that because of the fact that when you start turning it in, which is basically taking a picture of the document, right, and emailing me that document via our online platform of Microsoft Teams. So you put it in Microsoft Teams. Again, do not simply email it to me. But when you get on Microsoft Teams, you open up your period, because it'll come up. Open up your class, your music appreciation class. Then you go ahead and go to chat. Then when you go to chat, when it says where you're going, where it's going to, who you're going to send this message to, you go ahead and start putting in my name. So you put in crystal.eubanks@k12.dc.gov. That's what you do. Now, let me talk to you about some of the challenges. Now, on that very first page, the very first assignment, what I'm looking for you to do is actually actively read. That is definitely something that you should remember doing, and one of my slides actually talks about that as well. And I'm going to talk to you about it in brief, just to be focused on the exacts. Now, if you find something that's really exciting, you put an exclamation point. That exclamation point shows that it was an exciting point or something that you were feeling kind of interested in. So then after the exclamation point, on the side in the margin, not too far away from it, you go ahead and explain the exclamation point. When you find the main idea or the main point of a piece, you go ahead and highlight it or underline it and put MI. Then, when there's a word you don't know, you put a circle around that word, then you define it at the bottom. Then, because of the fact that you're analyzing poetry set to music as well as poetry, what you need to do is go ahead and look for literary devices. The literary devices that I'm sure you remember are metaphor, which is a comparison between two things without using like or as. Simile, a comparison between two things using like or as. For example, she is a brick house. That is comparing a woman's shape or her overall shape to a house made of bricks, which is very sturdy. So she has a sturdy shape, a very attractive shape. Or if you said she is like a brick house, still a comparison between a woman and a brick house, but now it's a simile because you said like. Now the other one is hyperbole. Hyperbole is over-exaggeration. Now all of these I want you to label as you annotate the text, as you actively engage, as you're interactive with the text. You're talking to the text. So you're hitting exclamation points, you're circling things you don't know, you're underlining the main idea of each stanza, you're marking it with an MI. Then you are finding literary devices and you write the word that you write the literary device above the word that demonstrate, or the phrase or the line that demonstrates the literary device. So let me do hyperbole with you. Hyperbole is when you over-exaggerate in order for impact on the reader's view or image. Example, I am so hungry I could eat a horse. I want you to know that my hunger is much deeper than most and much more. So therefore I say I could eat a horse. Now obviously I don't want to eat a horse, but that is my over-exaggeration for impact and effect. The next one that I'm sure you're familiar with is imagery. Imagery is when you use what? Yes, the five senses in order to create an image or picture in the mind of the reader. So therefore, imagery is often used all the time. And so you look for things that appeal to sight. When it does appeal to sight, you put a little eyeball by it. When it appeals to smell, you put a little nose by it. It appeals to taste, you put lips. Hearing, you put a little ear. Touch, you put a hand. All right? And so those are things you look for. So you got metaphor, simile, hyperbole, and imagery. Those are the four. Now, the fifth one that I want you to stretch a little bit and try to find is personification. That's when you actually give characteristics of a person, of a living thing, to something non-living. For example, her underarms were yelling, y'all. Her underarms were yelling. What? Underarms don't have a mouth. So therefore, that is giving what? A mouth to an underarm, which is not human. A human characteristic, which is personification. So those are literary devices I want you to label. So you label the literary devices, you underline the main idea, put MI, circle words you don't know, Put a wow, a little exclamation point, a question mark by the things that you want to question, and then you write your question in the margin. Then you could even answer your question after you finish reading it a second time. You answer your question. Then you got a question mark, an exclamation point. You can put a heart by those things you connect to. So you can use all of those tools as you are going through your work. Then after that, you complete the activity. Now, when you complete the activity, you do what's called ACE. So when you're answering questions, you answer the question using a part of the question in your answer. You then cite. That means you take evidence from the actual poem to prove your answer. Then you explain. You explain what you have written. I'll be going into more detail about ACE in the coming days. As a matter of fact, tomorrow I'll post a tutorial in regards to acing. It's a very simple step, but I just want to make sure I don't over-indate you with, too much information at once. I wanted to make sure you understood how to actively engage inside of your reading or annotate the text, because you have to annotate all of the text that you encounter during your different activities. Peace, love, and light. Believe in yourself. Do not let fear take you at all. You are my future. You are the future. Be strong. Remember your roots. It's in your blood to survive. You've survived greater things. You are amazing young people. You can do anything and all things. This is just a test. Just focus on finishing up your work. Don't worry about it. It will only bring up your grade. Do your absolute best. Don't try, because try don't exist. Do your best. Peace, love, and light.